Hello, my name is Raditya Lazri. I created Mindful Being about 4 years ago. And in the past few years, I created this Spiritpreneurship Summit, and it really brought me more awareness around where my life is taking and the journeys that I've been on and all the different places that it's taking me. And this last summit just ended last week, and this was a significant one because it really brought together all the pieces that I discovered on how these pieces fall together and how it all happened to be the story of me, my child, and mindfulness. And I really wanted to share this today. When it first went through my head on what I wanted to share with you, it probably would have been hours long. So I'm going to save your time and want just to get you to the center of this conversation. And so, what really has been at the centerpiece is myself. And this is really for you to also connect to yourself, to really see how you've been the one piece that is continuous, that keeps showing up, that keeps going, that keeps doing the things that it's doing us as a human. And if we're looking back all the way back to childhood, there's probably a few things that stick out to us. Maybe you were the one that was really popular. Maybe you were the one that maybe had more challenges to connect with others. And maybe you were the one that were just happy by themselves. And maybe you needed to be around people. So, whichever one you are, you probably see how whoever you were then has a resemblance on who you are today. And really, how these little pieces have come together and how they are little strings that are attached to each other and creating your life. And the crazy thing about this is that even before you were born, those strings were already happening. And so as we're moving on in life, as we become more settled, as we become more aware of what our life looks like, we get to notice those little bits and pieces that have been stringed together before we existed in human form to really showcase the existence of our ancestors. Our parents to begin with, you might notice certain connections with yourself that you're like, "Ooh, that's like my mom. Ooh, that's like my dad." And maybe your aunts or grandparents whom you were around for a pretty long time. And so as you were moving on through your life, they became stronger. Certain parts of you became more of who you were and who you are. And some things, maybe you really distant yourself from that experience, maybe because you liked it, or maybe because that wasn't who you were. And so, as we're moving on through life, such as myself, I did discover these things. I always liked to be around people. I always wanted to stay busy. There was never a dull moment. And now I don't mind being by myself. I don't mind cherishing these moments by myself. And what has changed? The main things that have changed is confidence and also knowing myself better and understanding that there is no time lost. Before, and that's probably going for all of us, is as we're growing up, we're noticing certain tendencies. We want to be part of something, we want to belong to something. And when we can't, we're going to do something to to be to belong. And so as this happened, I actually didn't realize how much it has shifted me towards embracing who I am. So when I was in my early 20s, I came to the States and just took up dance. And I was dancing before for many, many years. And actually, music and dance has always been an outlet to expressing myself, the things that I'm feeling. And still today, when I hear music, especially from that time, I reminiscent and I really get into the sense of how I felt back then and how it helped me getting through this time. So you might also have something that you used to do. And so as we're moving on through this life, things started to settle, as I said before. And as we're settling down, settling into our lives, we just notice more and more of who we become, because before it was tainted by our parents, by the people that we are around, by teachers, by schools, by friends. And as we get older, we become more ourselves, and we discover things we like or dislike, as mentioned, the comparison to our parents. And so as life goes on, you have a certain job, maybe you go after school, and there's still a piece that's not fulfilled. There's still a piece that you want to gain more self confidence or more belonging or something that's just not right there, right? So you keep chasing it, you keep looking for it. You think it's a job, you think it's a friendship, you think it's a relationship, you think it's a location where you're living. As you're moving around, as you're changing your jobs, as you're switching a relationship, as you're getting into new friendships, the same problems keep arising. The same things are happening. And so for me too, right? As I moved here to the States, didn't know I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life, or at least till this moment. What I did know is that I will do anything it takes for me to be happy. Anything it takes for me to be myself and stay true to who I am. And so I took this leap of faith pretty much to the spouse that I met somewhere downtown in Canal Street and be with that person for almost 20 years now. And so that was a dedication to myself and that person, that this is what I want. And that only happened because I was consistently showing up for myself, getting to know myself, pushing myself to places where I didn't have anything to hold on to. So I'm not suggesting you do that. What I do see is that there is an opportunity for us to not get comfortable with what is. And even though I'm talking mindfulness, being aware of what is another thing than just getting comfortable with what is. So that really aside, because what this really is really just telling you my story on how I discovered mindfulness along the way, and how this whole experience of life and reflection of it is here to help me guide myself in the right direction and honing in to what really calls my heart. And I'm here to invite you to do the same, to really look in the past and cherish those moments. See what gifts they've given you. See how much more they have been returning to you and how you've been following a certain path. Maybe not with as much awareness. And it's not too late. We always can change that. And so as I moved on, as I've been in this relationship for a while, you look around and you feel that there is a need to have children. Well, maybe you're not the one watching this that felt that need. I did. And the same thing, and at the same time, it wasn't necessarily such a drive that we need to have this now. I think what it really was, and I don't even just think about, I know the reason I knew I wanted to have a child is more because I really cherished this relationship so much that I wanted to have something that is one, that represents us. Because having a ring on my finger, which I'm not wearing, but I have, is not really bringing us together. Just sharing the same space is not really wasn't really enough for me to be together. And so, or having something that represents us. So then this decision came that we want to have children. And so there we have it. There was this child. And growing up, I have a brother, uh, and around me all have brothers or sisters. I always, in my mind, thought that this is what I want. I want to have two children because that's just what the norm is. This is what we do. And as I became a parent, it wasn't apparent to me that how that it will be challenging. Well, I thought it would be, but not to the extent that I actually feel and experiencing. And I don't think anybody who is a parent can really describe the challenges that they're facing. I think as I connect with more parents and talking about challenges, the more I hear how difficult it was in the first few years. I was all by myself. My family is away in Switzerland. And here I have a mother in law that's not right around the corner. And so I was here raising a little child in my house. And there it was. It's at first, it's all needing my attention. It all needs me to help with it to grow, give it food, change the clothes, change the diapers, and they were really babe. That's what babies are, not they, but it. The baby was really dependent on me, and so that was the easy part. That was, I wouldn't say a walk in the park, though it was very accommodating and simple for me. I did not remember it being challenging. When it did become challenging was when my son became an actual human, meaning it started walking and talking and being having a mind of its own, starting to respond back or resist back, I should say. That became much more challenging for me. It became so challenging that I didn't recognize myself anymore. I was angry, I was upset, and only recently did I learn that there is such thing like a postpartum rage. And so that probably is where I fall into. Although it wasn't really it wasn't that consistent and that often that I would have considered myself that then. I just see now and hearing from other people that there is just a huge challenge from changing or switching from an individual to being a caretaker. And that switch for me wasn't so clear. And as I was taking my time to get into this time with raising a child at its early age and giving it a space to be, I also started to be challenged with all the emotions that I experienced and the resistance of not supporting me during this journey. And so there comes this time when most people around you are talking about their second child, already have their second child on the way, and I'm just thinking to myself, how on earth I cannot even have one thought about having another child in on this earth. I can't even imagine how to raise this one child that is already here. And so, with that thought, it really emphasized this other side that was born, the side of mindfulness, the side of increased awareness, the side of all the emotions are welcome. And that really helped me. I like 4 years ago is when I started this business. This is after I went to school for 2 years. So when my son was little, I went back to school to get a degree, to get my bachelor's degree. And after that, I noticed how much I cared for people, how much I cared about the anatomy of who we are. I started to understand the connection between nature and being a human and all the things around us. And it became so important to me to be the best version of myself, to give my child the best version of myself that can get angry, just not too angry, that can be emotional and sad, but not too emotional and sad. And I'm saying the two because when we get to this place and space where it's just too much to bear for ourselves, when you are in the other people's shoes, it's just too much. It's just overwhelming. And that is one of the main reasons I could not go through of even a blink of a thought to have another child. Yes, the conversations were there. Yes, the discussions were there. And deep down, I just knew it would not help me nor my dear son that is here. And so I really changed my whole trajectory to put my attention to my child and began that journey of mindfulness, to increase that journey of mindfulness, because in some shape or form it was always there, and we all have it, not just me. We all have the capacity of being a mindful being, of being mindful and practicing mindfulness. It's not that difficult. It just takes lots of reminders, hundreds of millions of reminders, missteps, and yet additional way of expressing ourselves. And so on that journey, I really discovered the importance of this gift of mindfulness and why am called and the reasons why I'm here to bring this to you, because I am taking my time to explore the challenges that we all are experiencing and figuring a way out on how to be more compassionate, gracious, kind to ourselves. Because the more we can increase that part, the easier it becomes for ourselves to be present with what is without judging it, without wishing it was different, just noticing and observing what that is. And so that really has been the story of my life in a very short, brief version, to how there were these challenges of being myself in the environment that we're in, raising a child in this environment, feeling like it was a mistake to not have another child because of what my son is not experiencing having a sibling. And at the same time, we do sacrifices. If we have more children, then we possibly can sacrifice some of our own experiences, and vice versa. And there is nothing here that I want to say that is right or wrong or good or bad or should be different or not. It's just to realize and really tune into why we choose the things we choose. And thanks to my own son, did I discover these things. And I wanted to thank you for being here with me, listening to the story. And if this has sparked an interest in how mindfulness can show up in your life for you to make decisions that you won't regret in the future, and that any decisions that you might feel regretful at this point, to maybe have a more open heart to yourself, then get in touch with me. Let's explore this together and make this world a better place by living our best life yet. So, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure to put a hashtag replay. And you can find me at mindfulbeingllc.com, on Facebook, Instagram, and here, obviously, on YouTube. There will be more that I'll be sharing on how to enhance your life with mindfulness. So, thanks again, and let me know what your takeaways were.